Councilwoman Clayton? Here. Councilmember Kendall?
Here.
Councilmember Warner?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Here.
Mayor Moore?
Here.
Can we all please rise for a silent prayer, a moment of reflection, please? Flag salute. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in the following manner. The annual notice was forwarded to the Asbury Park Press, the Coaster, and the Star Ledger on January 6, 2016, and posted on the bulletin board the same date. All notices are on file with the city clerk. This time, can I have a motion to open the meeting to the public?
Move it.
The public is expected to conduct themselves in a proper manner. Any derogatory, abusive, or threatening statements will not be permitted. The chair will immediately rule such conduct out of order and, after appropriate warning, may terminate any further comments from the speaker. Each speaker has 3 minutes to speak, and when you do come up to the mic, please state your name and address for the record, please.
I get the first shot, Rita?
You do, Reverend. You're on.
Again, I'm here to speak about the naming of the park on Springwood Avenue. And I say again that the Springwood Avenue, as iconic and indelible as it is, talking about and representing all of our history, and particularly on the west side. And Springwood Avenue was the melting pot for all of us in the city of Asbury Park and the surrounding environs. People came to Fisher's for parochial clothing and others. They came for the entertainment that was going on Springwood Avenue, and all of the musicians, all of the teachers, all of the businesses that were being run. Those people should be remembered, and you can only remember all of those people by naming it Springwood Avenue Park. You start naming names, you're going to miss somebody. I can give you 100 names. And my family's been in Asbury Park for over 100 years. I've been here for 82, but we could get names, but you don't want to miss anybody, and everybody will be inclusive if you name it Springwood Avenue Park. Second thing, I'm still appalled at the suggestions and the petitions that are planned for the recall. We support this council, all of you. You're trying and doing the best that you can. And to single out one councilman just because he doesn't agree with some of the things that may have been said, and in the way that some people will say, let's do it this way. You're not speaking strong enough for us. We don't need that kind of thing. We got too many, and I don't understand why all of those voters who voted you in the office should be rising up right now and saying something about it. We got over 12 or 13 churches. They should be talking about keep this council as it is and together, and let us move on for the betterment of the city of Asbury Park. We're not going to hold back anything. You're trying and doing the best that you can. We come here, we make suggestions, and you try to implement. God bless you.
Thank you.
I'm Marty Bradshaw. I have the Burns Bradshaw Real Estate Agency at 1508 Main Street. I'm here on behalf of a few agents, real estate agents in town, and we're a little confused about whether we have to pay a mercantile license fee. We were always considered, real estate offices were always considered professional offices, and my agency has been in town for 90 years. Since 1926, we've never had to pay a mercantile license fee. And now on the new list that was just sent to my office a few weeks ago, a real estate agent now appears. So I did speak with Cindy, hi Cindy, this afternoon, and she told me that I asked why doctors and lawyers and dentists do not appear on the new list, and she said professional services are off the books. So then I I showed Cindy the what I'd copied from the ordinances online, basic definitions and interpretations, where it says office professional, and then it lists 12 different types of offices that are considered professional, and real estate practitioner is one of the 12. So I'm just confused here because, and I also asked Cindy, was this changed in any way? She said, no, the definitions were not reviewed or changed. So I am considered a professional office, and I've been told professional services are off the books, meaning I do not have to pay a mercantile license fee, and yet I'm on the list. So there seems to be a conflict there. And Cindy suggested that maybe real estate agent was put on the list, just as an error, because it wasn't recognized how we were classified as a professional office. So I don't know if anybody can answer I am here on behalf of a few agents in town. Can anybody?
Once you're done.
Pardon me?
Once you're done, or your 3 minutes is up, then we don't want to cut you off.
Oh, okay. So, that's basically it. And then, I also discussed today with Cindy that professional offices are allowed in the PO zone, the professional office zone, whereas retail stores are not. So I just made the point that if I was down there on Grand Avenue in the PO zone, would I be the only one of the doctors and lawyers and all that would have to pay a mercantile license fee if none of the others had to? So, thank you.
Let us look into it and get back to you, but I know for a fact, if you pull up last year's ordinance, which we threw away because it was about this many pages, real estate agents were listed. Okay. I'll give you a copy of that also. Let us look into this and get back to you. Obviously, why it was not transcribed over definitions was not looked into, was something we overlooked or something. We'll look into it and get back to you, and we'll give you a copy where real estate agents were listed last year. And I was going to say 99% of them paid last year. But we'll get back to you.
I looked online at that list.
Excuse me?
I looked online at that 10-page list. I looked last year, and we weren't on it.
Okay.
Ma'am, can you please make sure though that you do pay the license, because if it is that you have to, that you don't get a fee. So I think the deadline is March 1st?
Yes.
So please make sure yourself and anyone else that you talk to pays, so you don't wind up paying more if this is an error, and if it is, you refund the money.
Yes, just like tonight, we're refunding money that was made mistakes on the parking rollout. So that's on tonight. So if it's changed out, Michael's absolutely right. Better off pay it now. If you get refunded, you get refunded at home.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We will look into it and get in touch with you. Thank you.
Just a minute.
Georgia would be proud.
Oh, thank you.
I knew your mom very well.
Oh, thank you very much.
Before the next speaker come up, I just want to elaborate on something. I don't think Reverend Perry, I agree with what you're saying, but you're talking to the wrong party, because there is a committee that was formed. I don't know if you knew that. So maybe.
I sent the committee 3 emails
Okay, then, I wasn't sure if you knew that, I didn't want you to. All right, thank you. All right, next.
Tracy Rogers, Monroe Avenue. First, I get words that I don't address positive things, but the rollout for the SALT school was excellent, and we want to thank all you guys up there for that participation. People were there. I wasn't there that day, but I had people who went there, and they told me that they talked and saw how professional it was, how many people showed up, and in fact, it looked like 80% of the people in the room were from Asbury. So I think we keep on pushing in this direction, and we have to be aggressive. Sometimes it's going to seem like we're being overbearing, but we all want to get to accomplish the same thing. Everybody has more on their plates, so sometimes we have to maneuver with each other. But I want to thank everybody up there, the mayor, for the success that you had, and let's try to keep it going.
Well, I say it because it was a fight.
Yes.
So thank you, I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I went out, another point, I walked out on Main. I posted up a lot around the city, and just talking to the owners, and they were happy to say, yeah, we need more help. You know, PJ's, the pizza place, they put it up. You know, everybody has to play a part, and that's all we have to do to get everything going. You know, just talking to each other and gathering to make this a better city. The next thing I want to talk about is that abandoned property list that was out. And I came across a plan that was done by Metro under your leadership, and it talked about making sure that we make sure affordable housing was being pushed to people of low income. So I placed a plan with Michael and some of the council people to make sure we address that we have financing to make this happen. We may have to go to court to change our affordable housing, but we have financing to make sure we get some of these abandoned properties into the hands of low-income people. So I hope we're looking at that, and that's one of the first priorities that we're looking to make this happen.
Tracy, you said you emailed that to the city manager and the council? Because I don't remember getting it.
Well, no, I gave it to a couple of council members, and Michael has a copy, but I'll email it to you and Joe to make sure to round everybody out.
Do you want to respond to him? No? Okay.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Louise Murray, 1604 Grand Avenue. I just want to respond to what you said to Reverend Parriott about you had a committee. Is the committee, well, you'll have to answer when I'm done. Is the committee formed to find a new name for Springwood Avenue? Is that what I'm getting? Because I might have missed a couple meetings. That's one question. And the other question is, if that be the case, I think you should dissolve the committee and go along with Springwood Avenue, Springwood Park, because I have a question. I'm reading about the Asbury Park Recreation Department. Please explain to me how Hammery Prospect Courts got named. Thank you. Was there a committee selected to do that?
When you're done.
I'm
please.
done.
Okay.
I'm done.
You're done?
Yeah.
I have no clue how Hammery Prospect Courts were named. It was before us. Do we own the property, or does the Board of Ed?
This Board of Ed, what happened with that was, if my memory serves me correct, the Board of Ed turned it over to the city, and this was prior to anyone on this council being up here. Turned it over to the city cleaned it up and sent it gave it back to the Board of Ed, but the Board of Ed named it, I believe.
Right.
Well, I think that should be revisited because that's,
But it's their
Well,
property.
Jesse said, you're at the wrong meeting, I guess you go to a Board of Ed meeting.
oh,
Yeah, it's their property.
It's not our property.
And I'm pretty sure they named it.
Right.
The Board of Ed owns the court, and they named the court. I'm not 100%, but that was my understanding of when it happened, and
On the area.
don't put it on the record. It is on the record.
It's on the record.
But I think that,
And we'll verify that, if that's not right, we'll get back to you.
yeah, somebody can check.
They renamed 3 schools. So they did it by, I guess, a vote amongst themselves. There's 9 people on the Board of Education. I guess they had a vote, and they say Thurgood Marshall, Obama, and now the middle school.
No, Obama. That was through petitions and signatures and all of that.
But the Board of Education had to vote on it. So they voted on it, and they did that through meetings. Rita?
Oh, hi. Rita Morano, 8th Avenue. I was just wondering, the city manager's here long enough to know if he was looking at comp time, my favorite subject. I wonder if you had time to look at comp time and what you were going to do about it, since the federal law, the state law, and the MOU said that there's a 30-day window that you could take comp time. It's not forever. And you may give comp time, not you must. That's one thing. The other thing I wanted to talk about, I was looking at the bill resolution, and we're paying $7,500 a quarter for the senior center. We're condo owners, I guess. Does anybody know what Interfaith Neighbors pays, being they have 2 floors and we only have 1? Does anybody know what they pay? That's my other question. And I want to know, being they have 8 apartments and 6 stores, and we only have 1 floor, I want to know how that was, how we get to pay $7,500 a quarter. And what is it for? Then we have maintenance, too. We maintain that building, 44.5, I think it is. I'd like to know about that. And I want to know who's on the condo association, and if there isn't any taxpayers on there, I think there should be taxpayers on there, since we're paying $7,500 a quarter. And those are my questions.
And they're very good questions. And I'm going to say right now, again, that was a decision by past mayor and council that was entered into. I know Michael's not going to have the answers for it. It's probably the first time he's hearing about it. I know you brought this up in past years, and I questioned it with yourself and Mr. Nuccio. Let us get you the answers and look into it and see how long the agreement is for. And I agree with you. That's a lot per quarter, and how it was structured and how long it is, we'll find out and get back to you.
Okay. And could you put some taxpayers on there?
We'll find out who the makeup of the board is. We own the 2nd floor and 1 office on the 1st floor. Everything else, and so the maintenance, I know what you're talking about, the 44.5.
Yeah.
But 44.5 what?
I mean, we're paying for 2 elevators. Macy's only has 1.
We're not paying for 2
We got
elevators.
2 elevators.
No, we're not paying for 2.
On our side is 2 elevators. Oh, I had one other question. It said that the fire department had a bed bug situation. They had to get sprayed. I got a good solution. Remove all the beds and let them go to work every day instead of sleeping there. Did you know about it?
No, but I saw the one on New York TV about the water off the sewer had a bed bug problem. It seems to be a problem throughout the United States this year. It's not just unique to Asbury Park, but it's the first time I'm hearing about the fire department. It's tough to get rid of the beds when they're on 24-hour shifts.
That's what I'm saying. Change the shifts.
That was done by contract, and again, I hate to keep on saying it, but that was done before we were up here.
Oh, I know that. I'm not blaming you.
Oh, I know, but I mean, it's a contractual matter, and, you just can't say, okay, we're going back to 8-hour shifts from 24 without negotiations.
Is it possible to have the labor lawyer here one night to answer some questions about the contracts?
Why don't you give us the questions and we'll get you the answers?
Okay, you want them written or?
Please. Or you can call up tomorrow and give them to either one.
Okay.
Michael's saying call him tomorrow because he's going to be on vacation. I mean, you can call my house, Rita, you got the number. You give me a list of the questions and we'll get you the answers.
The bed bug issue, it's not them, the fire department being squalor, it's when they're responding to calls that the bed bugs will latch onto their clothes, especially on the EMS side, and they bring them back. It's not that it's dirty, it's actually on a call, they're coming back. And the comp time issue, in the beginning of this year, there was a memo sent out to everyone that they've been in non-compliance with the MOU, that too many people have been able to carry over comp time for too long, that by the end of this year, their comp time must be whittled down to either contract and/or the federal standards. The police department has a 2-year window because there's just so many people, we don't want to incur the overtime cost. So yes, that was looked at. Yes, it is excessive. Yes, we addressed it.
That's good news.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. I'm Reverend Ebony Lee Sr. from Mount Carmel Baptist Church, where I'm the pastor. I'm here because I have an issue with pride in our community, whether it be Asbury Park or Neptune. I'm representing the Asbury Park Neptune Ministerial Alliance, where Reverend Bradley is the president of our organization. So I wrote up an initiative with the problem that I have with pride in our towns. I'd like to read it to you. Asbury Park Pride Initiative. Describe the problem. I see a lack of pride for a clean and appealing community. Trashing of the community, a lack of ownership in our younger and older residents, food containers thrown on the ground, soda cans, paper, liquor bottles littering our sidewalks and streets. Springwood Avenue, Bangs Avenue, Asbury Avenue, wherever you go from the corridors leading from 35 into the beach area, it's awful. I'm appalled, and I'm quite embarrassed. Describe the effects of this on our community. It's a negative image of our city. It tells visitors that we don't care about our community. It tells developers that our community is a bad investment. It reveals that we're not doing a good job of instilling pride in our younger and older residents. I didn't come here just to complain. There's a solution. Solution to the problem: invest resources and training in our schools and in our community. Put up signage in strategic places as a reminder to the residents that we live here with pride. Teach our young in all grade levels that their community is their home, and they should respect their home and be proud of how beautiful it looks, or how beautiful it could look. Ask the young people, the school kids, to make suggestions of what signs should say that we should put up throughout our city at different places, businesses, churches, wherever. The end result of this solution is a higher awareness throughout the community that we do care about how we are perceived. We show visitors and developers that Asbury Park is worth investing in. As we invest in our young and older residents, we provide positive images, resources that help maintain the desire to have a clean and appealing city. The positive signage makes a statement of pride as a reminder to us and a statement to visitors that we do care about our community to the point that we invest the resources to be successful while being positive and proactive. So I say that the entire community needs to buy into such an initiative to foster Asbury Park pride. This includes City Hall, Police Department, sanitation, schools and businesses, as well as churches and all the residents, for this initiative to be a success. When I drive through this particular town, as well as Neptune, all of the corridors that lead to the beach, horrible, trash everywhere. So I'm looking for some help how we can instill in the community, the younger and older students, to be more prideful about how they conduct themselves and where they throw their trash. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I'm just curious, will this letter go out to the Board of Education and also to the different churches around?
Right now.
Well, after it's over, you can leave it, yes.
Wait a second, sir. Okay, no, you can bring that up, but Yvonne wanted on the Quality of Life Committee.
I just wanted to say that the Quality of Life Committee is also concerned about pride in the park. And we have some initiatives, and I would really like to partner with you in the future. But we do have initiatives where we're doing the spring cleanup. We're going to be putting new trash cans out throughout the city, including the Springwood Avenue and Asbury Avenue corridors, so that trash can be dropped in there.
You said new trash cans?
Yes.
Okay, so the ones that are there?
No, they're going to be new ones for recycling and trash, and they
If I
won't,
can make
they
a
won't
final
look,
statement
they
before
won't
I-
look the same,
Before I take my seat, trash cans should represent the vision that we have for the city. It shouldn't look like romper room. They should.
and they won't.
And also, I drove through today, and I was happy to see a street cleaning machine thing going around. But the problem is, they have to zigzag in between cars. So the cars that are parked and they have trash there, you're really not being effective. So there has to be some alternate side parking or something has to take place so that we can get this trash up.
Totally
But the main thing is the mindset of the people.
Totally agree with you. And thank you for coming forward.
Hi, everybody. Maureen Nevin. I had a question. There's a rumor going around that the state of the city was not written by you, Michael. Didn't you say you wrote that?
It's written by everybody.
Everybody?
I put it together, but it's their vision of what needs to be done and how it works. I tidy up the language.
Oh, okay. Because, what's that? And Hannah too? Where is she? Good job. Good job. Apparently iStar put something in as an advertisement that people are confusing with the state of the city, an advertisement in the New York Times. But there's no connection between the two.
Go ahead and we'll answer.
That's all I have.
No.
Just a
the only thing
curiosity.
I saw lately in the New York Times was some op-ed about the hotel, and basically whoever wrote it knows nothing about Asbury Park. It's one of the few times I really agree with Danny Jacobson, and when he did a column about it, saying people who write for the New York Times should come down to Asbury Park to see the real Asbury, saying, we're coming back, we're on the way of being back. Hey guys, we are back. It paid no tribute to Mass and Marquette and all they've done on the beachfront during the greatest recession in 2008, how they kept on going. It paid no tribute to Cookman Avenue and the store by store. It was just like, oh, they're building this neat little hotel, and Asbury Park may come back because of this hotel. The article to me was totally bizarre.
Unfortunately, they tend to recycle the information, if you notice. They use the same terms, like, is Asbury Park really coming back this time? It's the same theme played over and over. They just pay different reporters to write it. But it could also be native content, which is
Right,
something
and
else.
You being a former still writer for newspapers, it's great to be noticed in the New York Times. I just wish it was more factual, where Asbury Park is back, and there are a lot of great things already going on, and a lot of great people who have already spent their hard sweat, their time, their money,
Yeah.
be it the Tides, be it the bed and breakfast on Asbury Avenue, to say like, nothing's going on here except a hotel, to me was just plain obnoxious on the New York Times part.
Yeah, so this was an op-ed piece that you saw, that Dan was referring to?
It was on the front page of the business section, I'm gonna say,
Oh.
3 weeks ago.
Oh, okay, then that wouldn't be an op-ed, no,
I've
that'd be a
never heard about-
reporter's piece.
Never heard about iStar taking out any ads, be it pro, negative, about Asbury Park in my life. So, no, it was not done by iStar, it was a.
No, it was supposed to have been an ad that iStar
I-
ran in
anybody ever
the
seen it?
Times.
Do you have it, Maureen? Do you have the?
No,
ad?
I haven't seen it, that's why I wanted to ask you if you knew
We haven't seen it either.
if
First
there
time
was
I'm
a
hearing about it.
connection to the city, state of the city,
No.
rather. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Reverend John Bradley. I wear two hats in Asbury sometime or more. I'm the president of the Asbury Neptune Ministerial Alliance, and also I'm the vice president of the West Side Community Center. I want to thank the city for, I think it was a very productive meeting today. Now I want to air some things concerning the West Side. If I have time, I'll air some things concerning the Ministerial Alliance. There's a rumor going around, it's not a rumor, I guess, that the city owns the West Side community. And by title search, yes, but there was a mistake. And I'm going to pass the certificate of sales around to the council members. What happened back in the 90s is that because of a $90 bill for water, sewer, they passed that on to, and took over the property. But that bill was canceled by the mayor. But somehow, by mistake, it went to Tyler, and the Tyler went to the city, and we're trying to get that corrected. So, in effect, that property still should belong to the West Side Community Center. We're doing everything we can to bring about some operation there, but without staff and the money to operate, we're having a tough time. And then we need the cooperation of the community in order to help us out. We never get volunteers, but always someone coming around to use it. So we have a lot of problems. I wanted to bring this up because I think that there's a misconception about the ownership. I have the documentation here. I'm going to pass it out to each council member, that it was because of $90, and the error was made. And that error, that bill was canceled, and therefore we still should own the property. I understand the city is trying to make effort to give us back that property, and I think morally they should, and legally they should. So whichever way you want to accept that, I think morally you should go ahead and do it, and legally we shouldn't have to go that route. So I'm requesting that you do it morally and turn it back over to the west side so we can be more productive. Now, in terms of the, my time's up. Can I take time for the Ministerial Alliance?
Give you 1 minute.
1 minute. You know that Reverend Lee has already talked to. We've already married our relationship up with with Neptune. They have bought this initiative, and we've also met with the police department, the mayor, and we plan to meet this month. March, with the mayor and the police department of Asbury, trying to get this initiative off and rolling, because we want to have pride in both communities. With one community not participating, it's not going to help the situation. I just want to bring you up to date on that. And we will be inviting members of the council to our meetings in the future. I was just reelected back in I was the president for 8 years before, but you can only have it for 8 years, hold it for 8 years, then there has to be a lapse in term. Now that lapse in term is over, and I'm back as a president again. So there'll be a lot of interaction between the Ministerial Alliance and the city of Asbury and Neptune. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Lori Ross. I'm also on the board of the West Side Community Center, the board president. And again, I echo Reverend Bradley's concerns with regards to, it was a wonderful meeting. Ms. Rose Foster Bloodsaw was there. She's here. And I just want to say, I want everybody to be clear on the fact that we are volunteers, but we are willing to partner with anybody in the community that wants to work together for the betterment of the community. So just to clear up a few issues that have been bandied about recently, the IRS is not in the business of closing down struggling nonprofits. In fact, we are in an abatement status with the IRS, and they are working with us as we regain our 501c3, which is absolutely in process. I have a copy of our New Jersey Certificate of Standing from the New Jersey Department of Treasury, Division of Revenue, and it says that we are in good standing. I also have our New Jersey Business Registration Certification, and that is up to date. So again, we are all volunteers. We're all working together to right the ship and work together. If there's anybody in this room or in this community that has certain expertise, come on and meet with us. We have a wonderful relationship, trying to work with the community, and we had a very productive meeting today. To our point, when people say we're dead, well, the news flash is we're not dead. In December, we serviced 300 children and adults for a Christmas party. We were promised toys by another organization, but instead of giving the toys and handing them out at the Westside Community Center, they handed it out to the middle school, because obviously some folks have full access to the middle school. So that was a lesson learned for us. What we said is, okay, next year, we'll work with the individuals, the volunteers that did the Christmas giveaway in 2014, and that year we serviced 386 family and children, and not only did we have a wonderful Christmas party, but we gave out toys. So again, lesson learned. In January, a young lady got married at the center, not just had a reception, but actually had a ceremony, and a judge from Ocean County presided over the ceremony. Right now, we are doing limited programming. We have some programming on Tuesdays and Thursdays, weather permitting, because we have facility issues for after-school tutoring. Tonight, we have a young lady, a volunteer, doing a girls program at the center right now. I think she's probably going to be done by 7:30, 8 o'clock. We have a food pantry on Thursdays, and we have a church on Sundays, and the pastor is with the Ocean County Law Enforcement. But I'd like to invite you, most importantly, to our event this Saturday. It's at 12 o'clock, and it's a prayer and restoration service for the Westside Community Center, put on in collaboration with Mount Springs, specifically Mr. and Mrs. Turner. Again, we're inviting everybody here. We're asking anybody that has a particular level of expertise to come, take part in. Instead of bashing, let's work together for the betterment of the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to close.
I'd like to give a little lesson.
State your
in-
name and address for the record, please.
John Grant, 1205 4th Avenue. I'd like to give you a lesson in how to learn about nonprofits. One thing you can do, and this is for any nonprofit anywhere, is to go to guidestar.org. You can learn a lot about organizations. It's a clearinghouse for information about nonprofits, their financial statements, their boards, their expenses, and if they're following their mission. And I'll help you do that for the Westside Community Center. If you go to guidestar.org and you put in their tax ID number, which is an IRS tax ID number, it's 51-0233-963. And you can get the information I'm going to share with you. So the Westside Community Center lost their 501c3 because they did not file their tax return for 3 years in a row. And even more than that, they didn't file it since 2008. And that's why they don't have a 501c3. They also have no disclosure about who their board is, what their finances are. We know you can't see their tax returns because they haven't filed it since 2008. We have no idea if they're even following their mission. And if you want to know what their mission is, this is it, per the 990. Promote recreational, cultural, educational, social, and civic activities for the community. And that's not having weddings, it's not renting it out for parties, that's not their mission. And I've lived here for 8 years, I haven't heard anything going on there. And yes, there's some things, but what are the kids in this community supposed to do? So we've had reverends talking today about there needs to be things for the kids. There's been nothing going on there for 8 years. It's been locked, and there needs to be a public outcry how this organization continues. They're not doing anything for this community. It's hardly even open. The building is falling apart. And then I wonder what the city's motivation is to transfer this property back to them. And that's not really my biggest issue. My biggest issue is they don't have a 501c3. And that means you cannot make a charitable contribution to the Westside Community Center and make it tax deductible. And so I'm not sure who's going to support it. We know that the county might if they got their act back together. There's other nonprofits in the city that might help them if they got their act back together, but they're not going to get their 501c3. And there's IRS sections you can look at. I don't have it with me right now, but it's a long process, and you have to claim why you have not been able to file your 990. So for 8 years, I'm not sure how that could happen. I'd just like to say a few more things. Also on guides, I also have, if you want evidence that the Westside Community Center has lost their 50C3, I have copies of the IRS exempt organization select check. Anyone can do that for any nonprofit. If you go to the IRS website or Google exempt organizations select check and put in the Westside Community Center's tax ID number, which is 51-0233963, you'll get this report, and at the top of it, it says, this organization's exempt status was automatically revoked by the IRS on March 11th, 2013 for not filing Form 990. They also haven't filed it till 2008. It goes on to say, further investigation and due diligence is warranted. All right? So that's on one of the most well-respected charity watch groups. And so I'm not sure, like, why is this going on?
Okay, John, I extended it a minute for Reverend Bradley, and you're about at a minute.
I'm done.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to close.
Second.
I thought that guy was gonna come and speak. Okay. Right now, we're on to acceptance of minutes. We have,
Actually, can I do one? Because since we
Sure,
don't
go ahead.
have the
Yeah.
council members. Michael, back in October, we asked for an appraisal that Maureen points out for the North End Beach, commonly referred to as Bradley Cove. The city got 2 independent appraisals, and we asked iStar for their appraisal. It's my understanding they've had it for most of the month of February, but we have not had an opportunity to look at it. Why, I don't know,
Hold
and
on a
I'm.
second. If you're gonna have a conversation, I'm gonna ask you to take it outside, please. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
So really 2 questions. One question is, why don't we have this appraisal? It's now the 3rd council meeting I've asked you for it. And 2, do we have a number on what iStar is proposing for that plot of land?
I've spoken to iStar. They said that it's in their internal attorney's review. The approximate number is
The number's $19 million for the land at the end of North Beach, commonly referred to as Bradley Cove. And then do you know what our 2 independent appraisals appraised that piece of land for?
no.
I think Joe does.
3.1 average of the 2.
Right.
So
So is there a time deadline on when we're actually going to get this appraisal that's worth $19 million?
No, there's no deadline.
Is 19 land or build out?
I don't know. I don't have their appraisal.
So the way it should have been done, and I think they did the same way we did it, was highest and best use, which is their build out, which is to pretty much the townhomes at Bradley Cove are full build out. So how they come up with a number of 19 million versus 3.2 million from 2 independent, and add the county's appraisal in there, which is 3.5 million pre-Sandy. You got 3 appraisals on one side, and you've got 1 appraisal on the other, and there's $16 million difference.
And when we had our 2 appraisals done, Michael, we didn't do any sort of review on them. We sent them off to iStar to evaluate them. So I'm confused about the review that's currently being done.
I have no idea because I wasn't here for any of the appraisals.
Yeah, the process went, we got the appraisals back. We told Brian, he said, I'm going out for my own. We said, would you accept 3.1 million? It was like I asked him to go on a date. He couldn't give me an answer. And he took, he's taking now 6 months to do it. So
We have 10 months left on our Green Acres money that's specifically for the North Beach spot. So in 10 months, we're losing $1.1 million if we don't start getting these negotiations going. So $1.1 million goes in the toilet if we don't get these negotiations going.
Yes, I've expressed that before.
yeah, and I would just say, along this topic, there's been a lot of buzz about moving the wastewater treatment plant, which I think everybody is supportive of. The idea of linking the wastewater treatment plant to the development on the North End Beach, we have to separate those 2 issues out. There are significant questions associated with the wastewater treatment plant. 1 is the amount of debt associated with it, and 2 is the engineering question of where do you put all that water. some people may say Ocean Township. We have not heard any actual hard engineering evidence that Ocean Township would take it. So those two questions, we'd love to get them answered. They're going to take a while. We need to just remove those two as being together. The wastewater treatment plant is one issue. Bradley Cove is a separate issue within the waterfront that we're looking to go forward with the amendments on, and we do have less than a year. Just
And just to the point, if we don't use the 1.1 million that DEP gives us, are there penalties to the city for that? If we don't end up using that money? You just lose it. It doesn't affect our later applications.
It could in some instances where they'll ask about organizational capacity. Have you ever received a grant before? Yes. Did you finish the grant? This answer would be no. Those are usually like 5 to 10 point questions on grant applications, on state applications across DEP, DOT, Health and Human Services.
So would it be a fair statement that not using the $1.1 million that we've gotten from Green Acres within the 10-month period of time that we've been allotted could potentially affect our later applications for money from the state?
Yes.
And while we're on
Occasionally I sound like a lawyer.
while we're on that, I'll just give an update on the planning board last night. The hotel signs, everything was unanimously approved. The Salt School, everything's going forward with the hotel. It's a fantastic project. It's a sharp building. Everything looks great. I was somewhat dismayed last night when the head ISTAR representative at the planning board meeting made the claim that this city council specifically was not being good partners. And his comment was that we are bouncing them around like a pinball, in that we're asking them to follow the law, to go to the planning board, to go to the technical review committee, to come back here for a subsequent developers agreement. So we're following redevelopment law is my message. So we are trying to be as best partners as we can. And to that effect, ISTAR is using $58 million of public money to pay for their infrastructure. And I think that's a pretty significant partnership that we're supportive of as a council. And to that point, and that's the money they would use to move the wastewater treatment plant, for example. To that point, we've asked about this idea of looking at the $58 million from the special assessment as like a credit card. ISTAR charges it, we pay them back, or we pay the bill. And we've asked for a statement. And all that is essentially is like, how much has ISTAR charged on our credit account? How much have we paid back? How much do we have left to pay back? And it's just a basic accounting of what's happening with public funds. So, Michael, I would just ask that. Brian has said publicly he would be willing to share that information. We haven't got it yet, so I would request that we put that in again to him.
Lance?
Just one thing, just a reminder, on Saturday, February 27th at 10 a.m., there's going to be an expungement. Sorry. Okay, sorry. Saturday, February 27th, there's going to be an expungement session program at St. Stephen Church beginning at 10 a.m., running from 10 to 1. It's for both youth and adults, for anybody in Monmouth County. It's free. Attorneys will be there providing pro bono services.
I'm one of the attorneys.
So if you know of anyone that could use this or would be eligible, please remind them to come Saturday. It's going to be an ongoing program. It begins on Saturday. We're given background. They're helped to fill out the forms, and they don't have to spend any money. Any costs for this program will be covered. So that's it.
I'm laughing at myself. I'll do it later. I gotta say happy birthday, Vera, because I didn't take her out for dinner tonight. That's my wife. So, what do you mean we're not going out for dinner? So, to get in the house, I had to say that, but she won't see it for 2 days.
Is that it?
Yeah.
In our package, I just want to say something briefly. In your package out there, you have this recreation department from Asbury Park Recreation Department, and it's just an overview of the events and activities and some of the things that we're trying to do in recreation for the year 2015 and 2016. Okay? If there are any questions, you can always see me before or after the meetings. Or if you have anything to add, you're more than welcome to talk about it later. Thank you.
All righty.
Okay.
Acceptance of minutes, we have 6 sets. January 25th, 2016 workshop, 2027, 2016 executive session, January 27, 2016 regular session, February 8th, 2016 workshop session, February 10th, 2016 executive session, and February 10th, 2016 regular session. Can I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
We're now on to the consent agenda resolutions. All matters listed on the consent agenda are presented collectively to the city council and will be considered for approval with one vote. These matters are to be considered routine in nature, and there will be no individual discussion of these items. If discussion is desired by one or more council members as to the particular items, then said item shall be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. We have Resolution 2016-102, approving special events wedding applications as presented on February 8, 2016. Resolution 2016-103, resolution amending resolution 2016-14, establishing meeting dates for 2016. Resolution 2016-104, resolution authorizing the payment of payroll in the amount of $893,507.94. Resolution 2016-105, approving catering permit for AP Restaurant 4 doing business as Lagosta Lounge for an event on March 5th, 2016. Resolution 2016-106, approving petition to extend licensed premises for Stone Pony Liquor License LLC doing business as the Stone Pony for an event on June 10, 2016 through June 12, 2016. Resolution 2016-107, resolution authorizing cancellation of municipal tax sale certificates due to erroneous block and lot. Resolution 2016-108, resolution to credit sewer account. There's quite a few, so I'm just going to go ahead and read the addresses. 401 2nd Avenue, we have one for 601 6th Avenue, one for 1223 3rd Avenue, one for 908 Central Avenue, one for 1029 Monroe Avenue, and one for 620-630 Madison Avenue. Resolution 2016-114, resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Asbury Park supporting an application to the New Jersey DOT for local bicycle pedestrian planning assistance program. And finally, Resolution 2016-115, resolution authorizing the disposition of surplus property. Does anybody wish any of those resolutions to be removed off the consent agenda? Can I have a motion to approve those resolutions?
Move it.
Second.
Councilwoman Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
On to individual resolutions. The first one on this evening is Resolution 2016-116, resolution authorizing the payment of bills in the amount of $786,079.80